Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of TNTT, Truth Not Trash with Tim. Hey, I got a little bit of a different background. The office is being deeply cleaned, so it's been a while since we've done that, so I've moved a bunch of stuff out of there, and we're working on that. You can see I still got some Christmas decorations up, so bear with me. But we're going to get this done, and we're going to continue this series on, regardless of what happened. The Constitution is still the supreme law of the land, regardless of what you see on TV, regardless of what the media tells you, regardless of what some of the people have done. I mean, for a year now, we've had people burning and looting and breaking things and killing each other in the streets, rioting, and for some reason it was okay. But now when the elites are on the wrong end of that rioting, it's not so good, is it? It's not so good, is it? I'm not condoning it. I think it was stupid. I got to tell you, I've been to a lot of rallies over the years, and I have not seen any conservative folks show up with Kevlar helmets on their heads and equipment ready to break into a building. I've never seen it. So that's skeptical. I was going to put my tinfoil hat on today, which I didn't do. I should have done that. I thought about it, then I started the video and did it without. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, guys. Anybody who knows me knows that. I don't believe in the flat earth. I believe that we landed on the moon. I don't believe that we blew up the World Trade Centers ourselves just to prove some point or start some war. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. There's a couple out there that make you go, and this breach into the Capitol is one of those ones that makes you go, So we're just going to keep on going. And we're going to keep on going with our Constitution, and we're going to remember that violence is an absolute last resort. But it's happened before, and it will happen again. The question is just when and for what reason, and will it be a righteous reason, or will it not be a righteous reason, and will it be a reason that that the people stand behind, or will it be a reason that the people don't stand behind it? So it's history, it's repetitive, it is what it is, and I hope it doesn't come to that. But I'm a realist, and I just know at some point in time it will, and we've seen it over and over again. Okay, so once again, can't condone what happened yesterday on the Capitol, but I do got to give those millions of people some props for going out there and representing what they believe in. Whether you believe in it or not, millions of people do. And so I'm going to reserve my opinion on that. You guys probably already know what it is, so I don't even need to say it again. But let's get past this. Let's move forward. The next 2 years is going to be a flipping disaster with Chameleon Harris and hiding in the basement Biden running the place, especially with this, if they have actual control of the Senate and the House. I believe that the House and the Senate are close enough, and that there is a moderate Democrat or two out there that's not going to let this thing go sideways. I hope so. I believe that. I pray for that. I want that. And in 2 years, we'll take back the House, we'll take back the Senate, and then we'll make basement-dwelling Biden a lame duck president. If he's even still around, it'll probably just be Chameleon Harris and somebody else by that point in time. So anyway, you know me, I like to start out things with a bang, so to speak. So I'm going to read something to you real quick. Not necessarily Constitution related, however, it was written and articulated by the founders, one of the founders, Madison. And this is just somebody else talking about Madison. This is actually Madison saying this. There is a quote or two in there from him, but so it was written around the time of the Constitution, the beginning of our nation, and so it gives us some insight to who we are and why we are, and how we got to where we are. So give me a second. I'm going to read that. And once again, handy dandy history books, right? You got to find the history books. You got to find the history books that was written or referenced to as close as the history was being made. The less revisionism you can get, the better off you'll be, and the more historical relevance the document you're reading will have. So try to find things that were written, definitely try to find history books about old American history that were written prior to the, say, 70s at the latest, maybe into the early 80s, because they really started going sideways there with a bunch of pre-woke professors. So try to do that. Anyway, okay, I'm going to ramble on if I don't get going. Here we go. All right. This, and I believe this, by the way, what I'm about to read to you. Modern Americans are assaulted by misguided calls for bipartisanship. It's a code word for one side ceding its ideas to the party favored by the media. This statement is not taking a side, guys. The statement is not saying it's the left or the right. What it's saying is whichever side the media determines is the right side, regardless of what you think, whatever side the media determines is the correct side, is the side that you should capitulate to. That's what it's saying. In fact, however, Madison, founding father, detested compromise that involved abandoning principles, and in any event thought that the republic was best served when factions presented extreme differences to the voters. When factions presented extreme differences to the voters. We're gonna talk about that in a minute. Let me finish. Rather than shading their positions towards the middle. Sounds familiar, right? It's election season. Let's all fake out the public, tell them what we think they want to hear to get elected, and then we're going to do whatever crap we want to do anyway. Thank you, elected elite. The modern moderate voters, so highly praised in the media, would have been, and I can't pronounce this word perfectly, anathema to Madison, who wanted people to take sides as a means of creating checks and balances. So let's break that down just a little bit. So the media in today's world seems to dictate what side we should be on, whether we agree with it or not. Not good, right? And bipartisanship, and I see this, and I've said this in my own capacity as running for office and doing things. My collar's all ginked up, sorry. And so I've seen this. So bipartisanship is really just one side giving in to the side that has the media behind them. And as you give in more, as that side gives more away, the other side that the media is in control of, that the media supports, takes more. You can never give up enough, and they can never take enough. And it's just this never-ending cycle. And so it's important for us to know this stuff because we see it. We see it every day. It talks about factions and how Madison, and a lot of actually the founding fathers, there were a few that didn't like factionism, but most of them thought that factions were important because they exposed the extremes of either side, and then they let the voters make a decision. This whole thing about trying to meet in the middle and find common ground that neither side really wants, right, is just a way to influence you to try to get you to vote for them. So I say we have some extreme factions. We have a right, we have a left, we have a middle, we have an up, we have a down, whatever it might be. But we have choices, and those choices are distinct, and you can differentiate between them and make a decision based on how you feel. That's pretty important. He says anathema to the checks and balances. So I think what he's saying is that it's like a cancer. It doesn't work. He hates it. He hates it. So the factions are part of checks and balances. Okay, so that's my ramble. Sorry it took so long. We're 9 minutes into this thing already. Hey, so I want to do what I always do, and I want to bring up a video that I like that we can all get behind. Actually, you know what? We're not going to do that today. We're going to go right into the Constitution. And the reason we're going to do that is because I'm 9 minutes into this darn thing. So give me a second. I'll pull that up. We will get rid of some of the clutter on the screen. And we will make that a little bit bigger. Okay, so this is what we're talking about. Article 3, which is it talks about the judicial branch is what it does. Once again, it's all about checks and balances. But it's important for us to know this stuff. And I firmly believe, once again, no foil hat, right? And I don't need to search this stuff because I have a wife, so I don't need Google. But I firmly believe that the courts would have took this up and made a stance, it wouldn't got of nearly as ugly as it did. The fact that they wouldn't even hear it, and it wasn't based on the merits of the case. Most of the courts didn't want to hear it because they were afraid of it. So they came up with some type of a procedural reason not to hear it, not an evidential reason, procedural reason. And you can look it up. It's out there. They'll say, well, this line wasn't correctly presented in the documentation of the appeal or whatever. Some type of procedural reason. But that's the judicial branch, and that's their job. And they should have took this up and fixed it. Okay, Article 3, Section 1. Let me highlight it for you. All right, I'm not even going to use the paper. I'm just going to read it off the screen. Don't even need the glasses for this one. The judicial power of the United States shall be vested in one Supreme Court and in such inferior courts as the Congress may from time to time ordain and establish. The judges, both of the Supreme and inferior courts, shall hold their offices during good behavior, and shall at stated times receive for their services a compensation which shall not be diminished during their continuance in office. So basically what it's saying is, as long as they're good judges and they're following the law, that they'll remain in office and they will actually get paid for being in office, which is fine with me. You got to have a job. You have to make a living. Don't mind the clock in the background. Now that I'm not in the office, we might actually have a few distractions during this thing. I know my wife's supposed to be home any minute now, so she'll come barging through the door right behind me and say, I'm home, whatever. So be ready for that. Great woman, by the way. Been with her for 33 years, and life's been predominantly great. Predominantly made a good life for ourselves and our family. We've worked hard to do that. Anyway, I get off on tangents. Okay, Section 2. The judicial power shall extend to all cases in law and equity arising under this Constitution, the laws of the United States and treaties made or which shall be made under the authority, to all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers, and consuls, to all cases of admiralty in maritime jurisdiction, to controversies to which the United States shall be a party, to controversies between two or more states, between a state and citizens of another state, between citizens of different states, between citizens of the same state claiming lands under grants of different states, and between a state or the citizens thereof and foreign states, citizens or subjects. Wow, that's a lot to digest there, right? So if you read it real slow and digest it one line at a time, you'll get it. But in a nutshell, basically it says that the United States Supreme Court, and it's not specifically saying the Supreme Court, it's saying the judicial system has precedence over all judicial cases, over all legal proceedings, right? And so it's important to know that. Something that is really important to notice here is that it talks about cases between states. When one state has a dispute with another state, Texas and Pennsylvania maybe, that has to be heard by the courts. A citizen from another state goes after a state, or a citizen inside of a state goes after a state, or vice versa. Now, you got to remember, the Constitution was written to protect the people from the government. It was written to limit the government, not the people. And so the courts are supposed to hear this stuff and make sound decisions based on it. And of course, it talks about if we're in international law, that the courts will have to get involved in that. So that's something that we got to get into. We got to read that really slow. And actually, we could, if you want to, hit me back, and maybe what I'll do is a whole section just on that. Once again, I'm not an attorney by any means, but if you read it, you can see it. Talks about cases of admiralty and maritime jurisdiction. So when you're out to sea, I was a Navy guy, so I knew once we got a certain distance off the coast, we were considered international waters. That changed the whole legality of things. Controversies between two or more states, we talked about that. Between citizens of different states, we talked about that. So this is good stuff, and this is what they're there to do. And that's why I say, if they would have heard some of these cases, maybe some of these people who feel like they haven't been heard for the last 16 years. I mean, conservatives were getting bullied and pushed around and belittled, going all the way back to the mid 2000s, actually, 03, 04, 05, towards the end of Bush. And so conservatives have been getting crushed ever since then, by the wokes and the liberals, and they just keep the pressure on it, and we just take it and take it and take it. And at some point in time, you can only take so much. All right, in all cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers and councils, and those in which a state shall be a party, the Supreme Court shall have original jurisdiction. Now, this talks about original jurisdiction. Let me finish the paragraph, and we'll talk about that a little bit more. In all the other cases before mentioned, the Supreme Court shall have appellate jurisdiction, and both as to law and fact, with such exceptions and under such regulations as the Congress shall make. So, when it is talking about original jurisdiction means that that court is the first court that a particular case goes to. So that case falls into that court's original jurisdiction, right? So if you are in Oak Harbor and you commit a crime, you're going to go to the city court first. That's the original jurisdiction. Or if you're in the county and you commit a crime, or if you're in the state of Washington and you commit a crime that isn't necessarily covered by the county or the city or something of that nature, which I don't see how that could be. But so you understand original jurisdiction. That's just where a case goes originally. And then after that, it says it shall have appellate jurisdiction on all other cases. So it doesn't matter what the case is. I could have stubbed my toe on a door jamb at City Hall and appeal my lawsuit all the way up to the Supreme Court. Now, it's up to them if they take it or not. That's the catch on the appellate side. But original jurisdiction, they don't have a choice. And unfortunately, when Texas tried to sue some of those other states over the elections, whether it be true or not, I'm not taking a side on that. What I am saying is the Supreme Court should have taken it up according to what we're reading right now, and at least made a decision on it. Okay, we'll continue on. The trial of all crimes, except in cases of impeachment, shall be by jury, and such trial shall be held in the state where the said crimes shall have been committed. But when not committed within any state, that's hard to do. There's a couple places, though. The trial shall be at such place or places as the Congress may by law have directed. So basically, other than impeachment, you have a right to a jury trial, regardless of what the case is. You could be suing somebody for defamation, and they have a right, because they're the defendant, to a trial by jury. So that's just all that's saying, is you have a right to a trial by jury in the area, in the district, in the community where you're being accused. All right, section 3. And once again, this is a short article, but it does say a lot. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them, or in adhering to the enemies given. I'm going to start this over. Treason against the United States shall consist only in levying war against them, or in adhering to their enemies, giving them aid and comfort. No person shall be convicted of treason unless on the testimony of 2 witnesses to the same overt act on a confession in open court. Okay, all this crap about trying to convict some of these politicians of treason, whether it be basement dwelling Biden or the Trumpster, it doesn't matter. Boy, treason's a big deal, guys. Treason is a big deal, and it talks about in the act of levying war. Are we at war with some of these other countries? Maybe a de facto state of electronic or cyber warfare, maybe. I don't know. That's a tough one because you and I aren't privy to that information. But if that be the case, then yeah, maybe there's something out there. But I tell you what, right now, what's going on with the Trump thing and what he's being accused of doing is not, even if he was guilty of it, is not a treason offense. And so we have to be real careful how we throw these words around. It's like this. It's like the new racism, right? The new racism is systemic racism. You know why it's systemic racism? Because the left used racism so much and called every single person in the world a racist for so long that it lost its luster. Nobody cared anymore if you called them a racist. So they had to make it a little bit more tough and a little bit more in your face. So now it's systemic racism rather than just racism. And so once again, the sky's falling, right? That's what the left wants you to think. So the whole thing about levying these things is when we use these terms like hero, everybody's a hero now, whether they are or not. I'm just going to leave it at that. Everybody's a hero right now. You get your participation award. So what I'm saying is we got to be careful how we use these terms because they can be twisted and turned and used against us. Mark my words. I've seen it. I've actually been a victim of it a time or two. Fortunately, unless somebody's shooting at me, I don't really get that razzled anymore. So, and I just move on. But the fact is that some people get razzled and some people will turn it and use it against you and try to destroy you with those words. All right, the Congress shall have power to declare the punishment of treason, but no attainder of treason shall work corruption of blood or forfeiture except during the life of the person attained. Okay, so basically what it's saying is if the Congress, if somebody gets found guilty of treason, Congress can declare the punishment, but it can only be to that person who committed the treason. Can't be to their family, can't be to their heirs, can't be to the people that are close to them. It's just that person. Now, I think this was more important. I mean, it's important now if somebody commits treason, obviously, but it was more important back then during the Revolutionary War because there was so much confusion. We had patriots on one side, and we had people on the other side that still thought that the crown was the legitimate government. And so maybe in the beginning of the war, they were on the side of the crown, but then they converted over to be patriots and revolutionaries, right? And so if we didn't have something put in place to say that, hey, we're going to give them a reprieve, or maybe they get held guilty for treason, but we don't go after their families for it. See, that's what dictators do. That's what Pol Pot does. That's what Stalin does. That's what Hitler does. That's what the crown used to do back in Great Britain. That's what China does today. That's what North Korea does today. That's not what we do today. And yet the left's cry to go after all of us supposed Trump supporters, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And come after me, left. Come after me, because it won't be easy for you. It won't be easy for you. So anyway, that's it. That's the article that we're covering today. Just in time. I think the wife just got home, or somebody just got home. Yep, the wife got home. So I'm going to sign off, and I'm going to let you know that we'll be back here in a day or two, and we'll do another one. We'll go to Article 4, and we'll cover that. All right, you guys have a great evening. God bless you. God bless America. Don't get worn down. Don't give up. Stand up. Continue the fight. And you guys have a great evening. Good night.